The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt came out 10 years ago, and it was one of those games that literally changed gaming for me. It was the first ever open world game that I got to play, and I totally got mesmerized by it. The characters, the world, the choices, the consequences, the freedom. It was the first game where I could see a mountain or an island in the horizon, and I could actually reach it. Before this game, I mostly played linear games, but after playing the adventure of Geralt of Rivia, I fell in love with it. I played it again to see how well the game had aged and to see if this truly is a masterpiece that I remember. And in this video, I'll show you why I think this is one of the greatest games that I have ever played. Real quick, before we begin, not even 1% of people that watch my videos are subscribed, so hit that subscribe button. Without any further ado, I am the Valley Knight, and this is my ultimate review for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The world of The Witcher is phenomenal. I have rarely seen in my life a world that is as well constructed as intriguing. It mixes elements from fantasy and the real world in such a perfect and dark way. I have always thought that this is the closest that you could get to Game of Thrones. It is a dark fantasy world with the brutal realism of the humankind fighting for power and territory, and the incredible imagination of fairy tales. Not the ones that you hear before going to sleep though, more like the ones that will haunt you at night. The continent is an unforgiving place, and this game isn't scared to show the limits that we can reach when we're at war. Famine, disdain, torture, corruption. Anything that you can think of, you can find it here. And sometimes, in this wretched world, the most cruel creatures are not the monsters themselves, but the humans, ironically enough. I'm looking at you, Junior. You have an entire continent to explore in The Witcher, and even though this is a tough place with all the atrocities that I just mentioned, it still manages to deliver such a beautiful scenery. The world is connected by many regions such as the cruel swamps of Belin, a battlefront where many people have suffered in a never-ending war, with harsh lands and poisonous swamps. Or you can go to modern Novigrad, a city full of mysteries, a city that truly feels alive where there's a civil war against the sorcerers and magical creatures. Or to Skellige, a group of isles with a refreshing vibe and more traditional customs. The Witcher, a game that can give you hundreds and hundreds of content, and a game that came out 10 years ago, it still looks and runs better than some of the new games that I find today. The world in The Witcher is gorgeous. The views in this game are stunning. The vegetation reacts in a realistic way when it's windy, the water looks incredible. Novigrad is the coolest fictional city that I have ever seen. There are so many details that I would never finish talking about. Like the way that it is designed in such a realistic way. In the lower parts of the city you can find poor people, and as you get to the upper levels, the people get richer and the architecture is more grand and detailed. There's also many little plazas where you can trade goods. There's bands playing music, religious fanatics. Again, I could talk about this for hours. Novigrad is just amazing. And the NPCs were very impressive too. I remember playing games after The Witcher like Horizon Zero Dawn and being so disappointed with the quality of the animations. Everyone looked so stiff and bland in comparison to The Witcher. They all had their schedule in the game, you could follow them to their houses, they would react to you and the weather conditions. It was so cool and impressive at the time. You could do anything you want here and the gameplay is very addicting. You arrive at a village looking for people that need a professional to deal with a monster like a griffin, a troll in a cave, a haunted mansion in the woods. You name it. You go around to ask for witnesses about the creatures and then you fight against the monsters. While many people could say that combat in The Witcher is very bad, I actually like it. Geralt fights in such a cool way. It looks as if he was dancing with the spins and the smooth steps. And you have your Witcher signs, like Igni to incinerate your enemies, Quen to protect you, or Art to use the force against them. If you're just a pacifist, you can just explore the beautiful regions that the map has to offer. Watch the red sunsets of Belin, sail across the islands, take a night walk around Oxenfurt and Novigrad with its cozy lighting, get a haircut, or my personal favorite, visit a local brothel and play Gwent. Oh my god. You know what? Forget everything that I said. Gwent might as well be the actual main game for The Witcher. No joke. I've spent more hours here than I can count. This game is very fun. It's a board game that simulates more or less a medieval battlefield. You have 3 rows, one for siege cards, one for archers, and the last one for close encounters. Each player gets 10 random cards from your deck and whoever has the highest points in 2 rounds wins. This isn't as simple as just throwing a card though, because you have special cards that have effects in battle, like a rain card that affects all your siege units, and they can literally turn the tides on the battle. You can look for legendary cards with the merchants or win them against your opponents. And there are 5 different decks, like the Northern Realms, the Scoia'tael with the Elven Army, and the monsters with the one and only Eredin leading the charge. All of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you can even play some cards with the most important characters that you meet, including Geralt. And speaking about the characters, this is one of the aspects that made me fall in love with this series. The story of The Witcher is very well done. It is a story with a grand scale that boils down to something super simple, such as a father trying to rescue his daughter. You are looking for Ciri because she's been chased down by the Wild Hunt, and that's actually one of the weak aspects of the game. The Wild Hunt is a great antagonist of the story, a group of Skyriders that are trying to capture Ciri because of her magical powers, but they are kind of bland in my opinion. They only appear for like 5 hours in a game that can literally take you 100 to complete. But they balance this weakness with all the other awesome characters and their deep story. Like Triss, a former lover of Geralt who is trying to save sorcerers and mages from the wrath of King Radovid. Vesemir, your mentor and guide to be a great witcher and distinguish between good and evil. Yennefer, a powerful sorceress that isn't scared of taking risky decisions as long as that has good consequences. Or Dandelion, your best friend who's incredibly passionate about poetry and arts, and a very funny character without trying to be so. The list could go on, and all these characters are very meaningful to the story. I have a ton of moments that I will never forget with each one of them. Sometimes as simple as you getting drunk with Lambert and Eskel at Kaer Morhen, or as important as Yennefer and Geralt in the boat in The Last Wish. And how could we forget about the GOAT himself? Geralt of Rivia. Geralt is such a great protagonist. He might seem intimidating in series, but he actually has a ton of empathy and his voice is so iconic. He can be a badass and a simp at the same time. So much that when you have to make choices, I would ask myself, what would he do in this situation? Instead of choosing an answer just like that. That's actually why I had to give up on Triss, just for Geralt. He's so memorable that every time it gets windy in real life, I can't avoid saying, "Wind's howling." It just comes to me naturally. The sheer amount of characters, motivations, and personalities is just unmatched. Like the Bloody Baron, a tough self-claimed ruler and villain. Family Matters is a perfect example of the quest in The Witcher 3. You see, The Witcher changed quests and video games forever. The game makes such an outstanding job with what it is trying to accomplish. You're a Witcher, and like a wise man said, if I'm to choose between one evil and another,
I'd rather not choose at all.
This world isn't black and white. It is full of grays, and you can determine the outcome of most of the situations with your reasoning. After all, you are the link between humans and monsters, and the game truly makes you feel like a witcher when it comes to that and the freedom of choice that you have. For example, you could be hired to kill a monster, but then you find out that the person who hired you is the actual threat, and you can decide the path that the quest will take. I won't lie, there are some repetitive missions, but some of the secondary quests of this game are incredible. Even to the point as being as interesting as the actual main story, and the amount of branches that you can get is unbelievable. The stories of this game are so interesting that I couldn't help but feel invested in almost all of them. And of course it wouldn't be complete without the DLCs. Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine are phenomenal. For me, the DLCs have better story than the original game, and they add some of the most impressive characters. I'll make another video talking about them separately because they're just so good that they deserve it. So subscribe to not miss it. As every masterpiece, The Witcher has some flaws. For example, Roach could be one of them. I wish it could be more intuitive and not get stuck everywhere, or appear in the most unfortunate places. Also, the fact that the game will inevitably fall into some repetitive content. The little impact of the Wild Hunt in the story. But the biggest flaw for me is the leveling system. And I don't mean the skill tree. I actually like that one. I mean the armors and upgrades. You see, you start the game with a super cool armor set that is literally made for a professional. And then you get a better one with the next person that you kill. And now you look chubby, kinda like Shrek. Like, come on, how is it possible that this set is better? And you know what? You could go and search for the Witcher gear, but it doesn't matter how difficult it was for you to get it and craft it. You will need to wait until you have a better level to be able to wear it. And the same thing happens with your swords. I don't like having to give up looking like a badass just for my stats. And again, I would understand it if it made sense, but you're telling me that a piece of cloth and a mace are better than my armor and my imbued sword? Don't think so. While The Witcher 3 had its flaws, you cannot deny the fact that it was revolutionary. I feel like every franchise after The Witcher tried to copy it or at least got inspired from it. After this game, everyone tried to make their games with a bigger scale, with a secondary quest, with choice-driven consequences, with the popular 40 seconds place of interest formula. Maybe not all of them succeeded with the idea, but they all tried it because how well The Witcher 3 did it. Even to this day, you can see how much the game impacted the gaming world in many titles, and that's why The Witcher 3 is a masterpiece. If you haven't tried this game, please make yourself a favor and do it. You will not regret it. And if you have already, let me know down in the comments who is your favorite character and why. I'm genuinely interested in that. I can't wait to see what The Witcher 4 has in store for us, and while I doubt it, I hope that Ciri can make us feel what Geralt did. I feel like the franchise won't be the same without him. I'll make an in-depth analysis on The Witcher 3 soon, so I don't know, maybe it would be a good idea if you liked and subscribed. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Valley Knight, and I'll see you in the next video.